Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Marvelous Chats. My name's Finto.
I'm Kyle Crunk, and we are Talking Titans. We got 3 episodes to discuss this week. The season 3 premiered with season 3, episode 1 through 3. Season 3, episode 1, Barbara Gordon. What'd you think of the first episode, Penta? What'd you think of the season opener?
Um, as you know, Kyle, I'm a big DC fan. I love DC Comics. But I gotta say, and I'm a big fan of the show as well. Sorry, just to put that into perspective, a little recap on season two. Really liked what they did in season two.
Oh yeah.
Loved Deathstroke. I liked the intro of Jason Todd as Robin. I didn't fully buy him as Robin, like as an actor. I thought he was just very young and very short and all this stuff. Like if you read Jason Todd in the comic books, he's a lot bigger. He looks
Yeah,
a lot more like Jay. He looks a lot
he
more
looks like a
like
Punisher, dude. He looks
yeah.
like the
He's
Punisher.
a fucking beast in the comics. So that took a little bit of getting used to, but the season as a whole was great up until the last episode. So the last episode of season two, just to recap, was just everything that was happening on the lead up to that season finale with Deathstroke and everything, and introducing Superboy. That Superboy episode to me was probably the best episode of superhero TV that I've ever seen. Like it was
It was
done
really good.
done to perfection. I absolutely love that episode of TV. I'll never forget first watching that episode. I literally turned to my partner and I was just like, I cannot believe how incredible this is. It's so accurate to the comics. It's so well portrayed. The actor who they chose to play Connor was just perfect. I just love this. They got the story correct. He's a clone of Clark and Lex
Yep.
combined, and then I don't know. It's just the whole season kind of just came to a complete stopping point, and the last episode was just such a flop for me. Like it was dreadful. And if you go on to like the likes of IMDb and check like the ratings for each of the episodes, the show sits on a solid kind of 8.5 for most of the episodes. Some of them drop down to like 7.5, and then you come to the finale episode and it's a 5.4 or something ridiculous. It's a really badly rated episode, and for me, just watching it, I was just like, yeah, this is just it's not Titans. Like it's not what we were built up to see. It was just such a big like a anti-climax of a finale. Jumping
Yeah,
into jump,
wasted.
Jumping into episode one of season three, I'm kind of sitting there thinking, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. The trailers were incredible, and again, I don't know if this is Warner Brothers doing this or if this is just Hollywood in general, but I find that Warner Brothers will release incredible trailers and then
Yep.
the content just doesn't follow suit. Like it's like they show us the best bits in the trailers and then that's it. So for me, I watched the first episode. Had really high hopes. I thought we were gonna get a lot more of Joker than we did. Literally, what we saw was it. I thought that was
Yeah.
very very anticlimactic again. Like we saw a death in the family is one of the most like iconic Batman stories. If you've seen Under the Red Hood, the
Could have been
animated
a
movie,
movie itself, yeah.
if you've seen have you seen Under the Red Hood, the animated movie?
I have not. I've looked,
Bro,
like I said, I did some background research into the Red Hood and Jason Todd's whole
watch watch that film, bro.
origin.
Watch
It's
that movie. That is
where
one of the best animated movies I've ever seen. Like it
I have
is
to watch it.
incredible. It's so
Is
good.
it gonna pretty much throw the rest of this season out for me then? I might have to wait till
I don't think
the
so.
end of the season
Well,
because from what I've seen, they've literally taken from comics and maybe from this movie, they've taken some of the things that and this is kind of jumping forward a little bit into the next episode, but they've taken a lot of stuff directly from the comics and translated them into scenes like that you like from what I've seen in the research, word for word, like the script of the show is from some of the comics.
yeah, I think what they've done is good, but at the same time, it's just not enough in my opinion. And I don't know if that's just down to restrictions that they have from like licensing and characters and stuff. Like when I saw that original trailer and they bring the Joker into it, I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be amazing. They've got the Joker. I was like, maybe they're going to actually tell the story correctly. Then it turns out, we just kind of get caught out like by it, and it's just we see a silhouette of a character just laughing, beating him with the
Which
with the
actor were
crowbar.
they gonna use, do you think? Or
I
which actor did they use for the laugh? Because it sounds like that's your boy Cal. Sounds like him. Sounds like his laugh when he did his portrayal.
Yeah, kind of. I kind of thought I heard a little bit of Mark Hamill in there as well. Like, so maybe it's a kind of just combination of a few.
Yeah.
Because obviously the young version from Gotham, he was only like a teenager. So I don't know. He seemed a lot older, but maybe I don't know.
We
Like
should check. Is there even a? I'm gonna look. Is there a credit for Joker?
I doubt it, bro. I
I
doubt there
don't
is
think there.
because
Yeah, there's no credit for Joker.
I don't even think they're allowed to use the character. And because I was shocked that they were using it, and then obviously as the episode goes on, spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen it, and although why would you be watching this
Yeah.
episode? So if anyone who hasn't
True.
seen it, get out of here. But
Yeah.
literally, the whole thing happens. Joker goes back to Arkham. We don't hear about it again. Then we get the whole thing with Bruce Wayne not showing any sympathy, and Dick is like, what are we doing here? Like, are you not going to do anything about this? And blah blah blah. And then
Skipped
Bruce,
over in the episode. So the episode starts out with Jason Todd, which we've kind of skipped over. He is sitting pretty much in the Batcave, and he's looking up intel on other things, and he has a call with Bruce, and it's very clear from the start of the episode Bruce is out of town. Batman's not here. Robin's just left alone right now, and he says it looks like he's got intel on the Joker. He says calls up Bruce, says I got him, dead to rights. I got him here. The Joker. I can go get him. And he says, wait until I get back. I'm 12 hours out, whatever. Just wait for me, Jason. And Jason refuses to wait. He goes into the theme park, just like in the comics. I can't tell what's the name of the theme park.
I'm not too sure. Sorry, I don't
Yeah,
know the name.
it's a theme park in
It's an
Gotham City. He goes
it's an
there,
abandoned
it's
theme
shut
park. Yeah.
down. Yeah, and he gets his ass beat. It's a setup. The Joker pretty much lured him there, and he gets beaten to death with the crowbar. And what Finto was just saying is now Batman has come back. Dick Grayson is here after hearing that Robin has been. He hears from the news Robin's been killed, and he comes back, and it seems Bruce doesn't give a shit at all. He's like, "Yeah, we move on." He literally walks in. Dick walks in to Bruce cleaning Jason's blood off of Robin's suit, and him putting it up in what in the comics is supposed to be a glass case to memorialize it because he actually does care in the comics.
Yeah.
But in the show, Bruce could give a shit less. He says, "Yeah, we're moving on." Cleans off the
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah. Like I don't know. It's portrayed very differently in the comics. I know, you know, Bruce doesn't really like show remorse a lot, which is probably correct. But he definitely did try, as far as I
He still
know.
memorialized the
He,
the
he
suit. Yeah,
yeah, and he does try and like send off Jason properly, but the whole story in the comic books and like in the movies and stuff of why Jason has such a vendetta against Batman is because when he returns to Gotham, he sees that Robin has been replaced again with Tim. So like Tim Drake
yeah,
is the next Robin in line. We kind of met him in the show as well, and it's obviously part of the reason that drives his vengeance. Now, another thing that I didn't really like about the episodes, I'm just gonna kind of because I watched them all like one after another, so I'm having a bit of trouble
yeah.
differentiating what parts were in exactly what episode. To me, it was kind of just like one long episode. So, um, another thing that I didn't really like was just how quickly Jason took up the mantle of Red Hood. Now I don't know if it's done entirely in that way to try and like maybe keep a bit of suspense and people not knowing who he is. But if you have social media, even if you've not read any
You
comic books
knew.
or anything, you know that Jason is the Red Hood. Like everyone knows. So I just don't know. They didn't tell us, or maybe I missed it, but as far as I know, they didn't give us any specific time frames of how long he's been dead, when the Red Hood shows up. It kind of seems like he's showing up very fucking quickly.
Like the next day.
Yeah, which is just crazy, and that didn't make any sense to me at all. Like in the comic books, Jason is dead for a while. He gets thrown into a Lazarus pit, which brings him back to life, and then he gets taken off, and like he doesn't have any memory of who he was. He's trained up by like the League of Assassins and all this stuff, and then he comes back to Gotham with his mission to kill Batman. But I don't think the show's going to exactly go this way. It seems that they're going a bit of a different way with it, or else there has been a big time jump and they just didn't mention it. I don't know.
Yeah,
It just doesn't feel like there's been a time jump.
yeah.
So
It doesn't. Didn't feel like. everything feels next day, next day, next day.
Yeah,
And like you said, that they really are taking out a huge emotional driving factor behind the Red Hood's motives.
yeah,
Like you said, like it's kind of a classic trope used in superhero or action things where, the main guy or one of your main characters loses memory, whoever's a badass, and then or they further their badassery only to find out like, oh wait, I had this whole past life. Like you, just a quick example, look at Arrow,
yeah.
how they had that story originally, stuff like that. And it to take away that whole emotional aspect from the Red Hood is just kind of like, that's what makes him hit so hard in the comics, is like he comes back and he sees like, oh shit, like I was just not I was just another gear in the cogwheel here.
Exactly.
And
Yeah. And that this is
it
exactly what the whole thing with that whole scene with Barbara really like shows the fact that like she kind of tells him off, which is very uncharacteristic. Nobody speaks to Bruce Wayne or Batman like that. So that scene was actually quite good, and they call him out, it's like stop using these kids as weapons. You're training these kids up to be lethal weapons, and that's what you did with Dick, and that's why Dick left. And Dick doesn't really know what to say. He's just kind of like, oh shit, like oh we cleared our shit up and all,
yeah.
and it's just like, well, no, it still happened. You know what I mean? He turned you into a weapon.
Yeah.
So there's no getting around that and stuff. And that's fair. That's what Bruce does. And even in the episode, I think it's in episode 3, you see that Dick ends up, he's in the Batcave and he ends up coming across the list of the next potential users,
Yep.
or the next potential like uh,
Bat Robbins.
Robins. Yeah, so it's kind of
And
like, oh
Bruce
my
even
god,
admits it too. He's like, "What is this?"
yeah,
And he said,
he
"He
knows
said
recruits.
potential candidates." Yeah, he
Yeah,
said potential candidates,
yeah.
and they really are just hammering home this no remorse Bruce aspect. Like he's literally just moving on, Robin to Robin to Robin. Which
What do you think of the actor who plays
I
Batman?
think the actor that does Batman in this show, let me give you his name right now, Ian Glenn.
Yeah,
He's fantastic. I really love his representation of Bruce. It's the kind of Bruce I would want in this story or like a Batman Beyond story, something like that. Like just
yeah,
the salty, grizzled veteran Bruce who's getting close to his breaking point. Which, to go into episode 2, um, they do kind of try to give Batman that, not even a remorseful breaking point. He literally Dick pretty much guilts him into snapping, and then he says he goes and bashes in his head, and then comes back, drops down the bloody crowbar in front of Dick and says, "Be a better Batman than I was," and then walks out. And I think it's episode 2 and episode 3. Bruce is seemingly out of the picture now. Batman's gone. The word gets around Gotham. Batman's not around anymore. Everybody already knows Robin's been killed. So then Dick has to call in the Titans from San Francisco,
yeah.
and now they're here, and it's just, you know the actor, for what they're using him for, I think is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Like I think he kind of fits the the kind of persona of like a retired elderly Batman. And
Individual,
I
yeah.
think that's what they're doing, but it just, for me, it doesn't like really add up with the timelines of where how these stories were told. Obviously, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, these
He's
are
Jason's only just died and Batman's retiring. Like it's kind of, they're kind of
yeah.
mixed. They're mixing storylines, so they're kind of missing
I
out
think
on a bit.
we're not getting like a 40-year-old. We're getting a generation later than we should have of Batman in the
Yeah,
show. It should be like a generation earlier, maybe 40s, 50s,
yeah,
to where he's still I think we're getting like a 60s, 50s, 60s Batman right now, which
yeah.
is
Yeah, but like this, I think where like Ben Affleck is, I think that's the era that they should be using. They should have an actor who is
imagine
like
Ben in
he's
the show.
they'd be. I would have loved that. Like even when I first saw the pictures of the guy who plays Dick Grayson, like the first Robin. When I saw him in that first suit, I was like, oh my god, that's Ben Affleck's Robin. Like I was like, that is perfect. Like and that first season, I was so hyped for that because I was like, holy shit, that's a real like Robin suit. I was like, this is incredible. Like. And that first season of Titans is just so good, bro. Like I love him. He's driving around in the Porsche and everything, and it's like proper like dark and gritty, and it's a
Oh
real
yeah.
kind of like he's just so good. He's going around, he's like beating people to death and everything, and it's just real dark, and it's like proper Batman, like And now it's just, I don't know. It's when you bring the rest of the team in, I think the team start to cheese it up a little bit. Like that, I can't get over that scene where Starfire comes down and she's like, "Yeah, I know, I'm hot." Like I'm like, "What are
Yeah.
you talking
I
about?"
mean,
I was like, "That is
I
just ultimate cheese." I'm just like, "There's
I
no
think
need for it."
the only reason you almost even let it slide is if you've seen everything and like you're invested in the characters. And me, I have nostalgia in the Titans, as
Yeah,
a whole product.
yeah,
But even like you said, even that, it's just like I think we were talking to Drunky at one point, and his response was like, "Who writes this and says that's gonna hit?" So I don't know if there's some sort of satire involved in this. I don't, but it's bad. I will say, I'm sitting here staring at her costume. The costume they gave her, is
yeah.
next level. Her look
It's
has
great.
evolved really well.
It is. It is. Like she looked like a fucking stripper in the first season. I remember when that. Like, and I know she's like in the comic book, she's drawn very raunchy and stuff like that, and I
Yeah,
understand that. But in the first season, I just thought she just. I don't know what the hell they were doing. Like her hair was dreadful. Everyone was giving out about the hair. I remember there was like so many people putting up like photoshops of her and just straightening her hair, and she looked so much better. And it was like I don't know what they were doing with the hair and stuff. And it's just I don't know. They're just making her out to be I suppose they're doing like a kind of 2021 version of the character, and like it works in a
yeah.
lot of senses, but it was very out there in season one. But they've kind of like I know they've kind of gone a bit crazy with the costume, but it's done a reverse effect and it's actually worked. It works better, I think, rather than making her just kind of look like a prostitute,
Oh yeah.
which is
I think
what she
I
did in the
think
first season.
the costumes for the show are just so good. Like Beast Boy, his is a jacket, but if you look at the jacket closely, it resembles the onesie Beast
Yeah,
Boy like costume. And I'm sitting here like looking at Nightwing's costume. Like there's just so many good like they're proper Batman costumes like that you remember seeing when you were a kid watching Batman movies and seeing like a Batman costume come up and you were just like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Like
yeah,
that's what we get in this show, and I really like that. I do also like that it feels like they're trying to give everybody their own little stories. You got Beast Boy in
yeah,
episode one, which they don't really talk too much about in the further episodes, but in episode one, he's kind of missing Rachel, which
yeah,
is Raven,
yeah,
and he's looking at this video pad saying, "I can be whatever I want to be." Because so far, we've only gotten Beast Boy in the Tiger version of
yeah.
Beast Boy, and
Until now,
you see him looking at all these classic Beast Boy transformation. You see the gorilla, you see
yeah,
all these classic transformations that he has. So hopefully this season it looks like they're gonna evolve a lot of these stories, character storylines individually. Starfire has something going on with these memories being
yeah,
like flashback to her, and she walks around in the first episode speaking in her native language, and Superboy and Beast Boy are like, what the hell is going on?
yeah.
So far episode one, I think episode one opened super strong for me. And then episode two, like you said, it's kind of all one big episode. Episode two is kind of where the letdown for this whole opener comes in for me, where you just have episode two kind of a lot slower. You got the Red Hood's already instantly introduced. He's already instantly getting into some of his classic scenes that, like I said, we're taking word for word out of the comics. But it seems like it's the next day, which maybe if they would have done a proper week wait release, it wouldn't have hit that way. But since we binged it, it's hitting that way, and they released it that way. I think with the intentions for people to binge 3 episodes.
Oh yeah,
Um, so we're into episode two with the Red Hood pretty much all fully focused around the Red Hood, um,
I did
and him going in there.
I did think the pacing was a bit strange. It kind of tells me, and I did hear this from a kind of behind the scenes interview, but they had said that there's a lot of stuff that they haven't mentioned at all for the series, so there's a lot of like unknown to come. So for me, yeah, I thought the pacing was quite strange. I thought, we might. I didn't even think we would see Jason die in the first episode. He dies in the first like 3 minutes of the episode.
Yeah,
So like,
like instantly.
yeah, it's like it's the first thing you see. I'm like, wow, okay, because like I presumed like we'd get to the end of episode two, maybe he'd die then we go into episode three, he'd be gone. Episode four gone, five maybe gone as well. And even like kind of halfway through the season, then we get the intro to the Red Hood, and everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy? It's been like maybe
Feel like
2 or 3 months, and they're like, who's the new guy on scene? Like I got worried when he first goes to see Barbara, and she's like, "Oh, we're looking at this new guy in town." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is the Red Hood story happening already." I'm like, "This doesn't make any sense. Like, he's only just died." I'm like, "How has he already been resurrected? He's healed, and he's the Red Hood." And in this like telling of the story, he seems to be a completely different personality as well. So I'm kind of like,
I
he's got
think I have
this.
the answer to that though. Just to interject really quick, and I apologize to do so.
No,
I
it's fine.
think they're transposing his whole resurrection story to Raven. Because now she's been gone, Rachel's been gone, and what have they been saying she's been doing? She's
Yeah,
trying to
she's
find a
trying
way
to.
to resurrect Donna.
Yeah,
So I feel like his resurrection story is being transposed over here so that he can instantly be back. I feel like that might be because, like you said, to go back what you said earlier, is in the trailer we've seen really awesome visuals of Raven in this white costume, and
yeah,
we've not seen her yet. We're 3 episodes in, we've not seen her, not even a scene. We've heard her mentioned by name only,
yeah.
and not even a flashback or anything. And yet she's trying to do some resurrection magic. So that's why I wanted to interject before you got too far ahead. I think that's what they're doing is
Yeah.
they're taking his resurrection story and giving it to her.
I I both like and dislike that at the same time.
It's a
Um,
disrespect to it's a disrespect to him,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah. Like I just think the story that was told originally is an amazing story. Now how much of it they can actually do, who knows? What you're saying makes sense. It's a good theory. I don't know if that's official. I don't know if that's where it's gonna go. I kind of hope it's not. I kind of hope she has her own separate story, maybe, and she does get Donna back. Because I don't think Donna's gonna stay dead. I can't imagine she would. She's a very like pivotal character in the comics and Titans history and so on. So I'd be shocked if she stayed dead. So yeah, I don't know. Like I suppose we need to just wait and see. Um, how did you feel about Barbara Gordon? Also, sorry, just before you say anything, does she only have one leg, or am I?
Yeah, it's this weird optical illusion where the whole time you're like, are her legs crossed,
Yeah,
or does she only have?
I'm lost, bro. Because
There's some
I'm like
scenes where I
she only
swear I've
has one
seen two
leg.
heels. Yeah, there's some scenes where I swear I've seen 2 feet hanging there,
Yeah,
2 heels,
I think
and
I think
there's.
she only has one leg, bro. And
I
I'm
think
like,
they mentioned a spinal injury from the Joker. He
yeah,
shot her in the spine, but that wouldn't make me think that she would lose a leg over it.
I
But it
know.
literally looks like one leg the whole
I
time.
know. It's terrifying, bro. I don't understand
It's
it at all. I'm like,
maybe at
what
the
the
end of the
hell?
season that'll be the big reveal. We'll know if she
Yeah.
has 2 legs or not.
She'll get a cyborg leg or something. But I don't know, because I don't know if you know much of the Batgirl story, but obviously that happens to her. She gets shot by Joker. She goes into the chair. She becomes Oracle. She stays as Oracle for a while. Then she gets a piece of tech put into her back, which fixes her spine, and then she gets to actually become Batgirl again. So she goes back. So because I like have been a fan of like Batman comics for a while, but like I've also known the stories of games and stuff like that for years, and it's like I'm like,
Was she never a commissioner in the comics? Did she
not that
never like
not that
become commissioner?
I'm aware of, because in the comic books, the Commissioner Gordon is still alive. So, um, obviously
Oh,
it's different Elseworld stuff that they're doing. Like we know that technically this exists inside the Arrowverse, ridiculously enough, and even the DCEU exists there. Like it's all one multiverse. So this is obviously just an Elseworlds version of it. It's not the same version from the comic book. So I suppose you can't really take the comic books as gospel because it's technically a different universe. So,
yeah.
you know, um, but from the comic book telling of it, she basically becomes Batgirl again. And I was kind of always wondering, I was like, oh, when does she become an Oracle? And then I read that Oracle's mentioned in the comic book. So I'm like, oh, hang on, she's been Oracle already. And then I find out that she had like a piece of tech like put into her spine, and that fixes her legs. And
And who
actually,
was Oracle?
what?
Was she like who? I don't really know. I'm not familiar with Oracle. Who was Oracle when she was Oracle? Like, is she like another?
Oracle was basically Batman's guy in the chair, basically, and it was Barbara Gordon. So she stayed in one of his bases. She either operated out of the Batcave or she operated in like a clock tower. In all the Arkham games, you'll see she's in all those games.
Actually, about to start the first
Yeah,
one very soon.
yeah, so you'll see anytime he rings, he's not most of the time he's not talking to Alfred. He's like ringing Oracle. He's like, Oracle, bring up the reports on blah blah blah, and that's actually Barbara Gordon
Oh, so that's
when
she's
she's in the
got
chair.
a stake in. Okay.
Exactly. So she ends up wanting to put the cowl back on. They end up fixing her spine, and then she goes back. But I'm presuming this version of her probably can't do that because she only has one leg by the looks of it. So I thought that was quite
Dude, I
strange.
swear there's at least one scene because I'm just like you the whole time. I'm like, is that a legs crossed? Because there's one time when they're like wheeling her away and I swear I saw 2 heels on the bottom of it, and I was like,
It's
well, she does have 2 feet,
every
but it.
scene. Every scene I'm looking, I'm like, there's only one. I only see one leg, but I'm like, is she hiding another one? I'm like, what the fuck
Yeah,
is
like
going
is
on?
she crossing the leg
Yeah,
because she's in a shirt
it's
and in a
crazy.
wheelchair all the
It's
time?
crazy,
Like
bro. It's crazy
that's the biggest mystery of the show so far.
for sure.
Going into episode 3, which is the last one we get kind of back into Hank and Dove. It's literally titled Hank and Dove. We get back into their storyline, like we mentioned, in they got called from San Francisco to Gotham. So when the Titans got called there, Hank actually was shown as like a cop, a bicycle cop in
Yeah,
episode 1 and 2, and he just decides when he hears the Titans get called, he's like, I'm pulling back on the mantle. So he gets his suit and he goes back to Gotham as well, and now we have everybody besides Rachel and Jason all in Bruce's manor. Bruce is gone,
yeah.
and they literally dig up Jason's grave to find that
He's not
he's
there.
not in it.
Of
Yeah,
course
he's
not.
not in it. So they get the realization that okay, they're finding out okay, he is the Red Hood. Um, what do you think of this episode? I don't want to get to the very end of the episode yet
This
because that
this episode was much better. For me, the first two episodes were kind of I was going with the motions. I wasn't really enjoying the Barbara Gordon piece. Like she's walking around the police station. Sorry, well, not walking. She's wheeling. She's wheeling around the police station and she's screaming at the top of her lungs about talking about Batman and all this stuff to Dick Grayson. I'm like, me and my girlfriend looked at each other like, Ed, do they not like? Is she not like thinking about people's like secret identities
yeah
here? Like she's
yeah
screaming about Batman and Robin and all this sort of stuff, and like Dick Grayson's just standing there in his like casual wear. I'm like, Barbara, calm down. So like
yeah.
all it was very messy to me, to be honest. I don't as well like I don't understand yet, and I hope, I pray that the episodes to come will fix a lot of these issues that I have with the show. But it's like I don't understand how Jason has come out of the ground and he's now like kind of a tech genius, as we see in this third episode, where he's figured out some Wayne tech that he's stuck into Hank's chest. I hated the whole Hank scene. I know Hank's a meathead, but at the same time, it's like, how do you fall for this stupid shit? Like, he went on a wild goose chase to try and catch Jason and just, like, literally strips down naked and goes into a pool to, like, prove that he's not wearing a
Yeah.
wire and then just gets caught. I'm like, bro, that is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. I know you're an idiot, but at the same time, how can you be that stupid, you know?
And he mentions he knew that he was messing with. I knew he was messing with me, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they overdrive it. Like nobody's gonna like literally make themselves that defenseless to
Yeah.
the point where someone can just walk up behind them and be like, "Donk on the head."
Yeah. So,
Like,
for me, the big standouts in this episode were Superboy with the tech. I loved like the speed tech, you know, where he's like,
oh
okay, you need to learn to do this, and he's using his powers and his speed to learn things. But then I love the fact that it's obviously the Lex Luthor half, the genius half of him as well, combined with the speed.
yes,
So he's
dude.
able to just build these prototypes and just test and test and
It's got
test.
that almost that Doctor Strange feel where he's like, "There's 14
Yeah,
million possibilities," and he's like,
yeah.
"Figure it out," you
Exactly.
know?
It just takes time. Boom, 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 and he's just flying through it. I just love all that shit. I liked Crypto in the episode. He was kind of cool with like the bark and everything. I thought was sweet when he was taking
Like, "Hey,
down
Crypto,
Ed.
give me a beer and a bologna sandwich or whatever he asked for." And Crypto barks, and he's like, "All right."
Yeah. So like I kind of, for me personally, I like Hank and Dove, but I think their storyline is just kind of. I think it came to an end in season two. I don't know why they're back.
I feel like they've
They don't need
spent
to be
so
back.
much time on their
I
story.
know it's
So,
crazy.
like,
I don't
so
understand
much
it.
in
I don't
season two
understand it at
and
all. Like I
season
know they're both beautiful looking people, and they want to give these beautiful people screen time, but at the same time, I'm just like I don't care about the story. I think Dove is a ridiculous character. She's a cool girl, but at the same time, it's like
they've overpowered her in the show so much.
it's crazy, bro. It's like she's just a normal girl. She has no powers, nothing. She just knows martial arts, but she's like taking down people 4 times her size. She's using those stupid wings. Like I don't really like her suit. It's a bit
Bulletproof,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Bulletproof wings, and like even the scene
She always looks
where
like Gwen, and she always looks like Gwen Stefani to me. Like the whole time, I'm like, Gwen Stefani superhero.
yeah, I just like
Mm.
I don't know, bro. I just don't buy it. Like I like Hank's story. He's like a kind of recovering addict and stuff like that. Like and it makes sense to why
Yeah,
he is who he is. But I just don't understand why she's in the role. Like I
I
don't
think they're
understand
just trying
why
to
she's
force
there.
romance into the show at this point
Yeah,
because it feels like so many aspects. Like they have Starfire talking to that one dude from season 2 still,
Yeah.
which I don't know if there's a backstory and he becomes
This is the
a,
problem,
like
though, bro. This is exactly what the CW do all the time. They start off these shows. They're amazing. They're not about love. They're just about fucking justice and actual storylines. And then it's like, okay, let's give them a love interest. It's when Arrow died. It's like he gets together with Felicity. It's like, okay, now it's just bullshit. It's just a stupid love story. And
it's about the
it's
stupid
yeah,
relationship problems that everybody like at like it's
exactly.
like
It's not
we've heard it a
superhero
thousand
stuff.
times.
Like the superheroes don't get the girls. That's usually the rule because they're too busy out fucking fighting vengeance. So it's like I don't know. I just think like the whole Dove and Hawk thing is just boring to me, and I
And
just
like if
don't
you
need to see it
remember
anymore.
season 2, they forced romance between Jason and Rose, and
Yeah,
it was like it's like they've really with the show. It's like
yeah,
every season, almost every episode, it's like we're gonna force some sort of romantic
yeah.
something into this.
Like Gar and Raven, I'm guessing will get together at some point, and then
Yeah, exactly,
it's
dude.
funny. It turns out that like Dick has been with everybody, which is hilarious,
Yeah.
and believable at the same time, of course. But like
Yes.
it's just like but I kind of like the way they do it with his character because it's just like it's kind of mentioned and then it's just kind of shrugged off. It's
He's
not.
kind of really anti-hero in this show. I love
Yeah,
how they've made him super anti-hero.
yeah, I like it as well. And I think in this episode we kind of got to see a little bit of his old self back from season one, which was great. I kind of thought he was getting a little too kind of goody two shoes in season two, and even the start of season three seemed real cheesy to me. I didn't like the whole group fight scenes and stuff like that. Like the choreography was kind of bad. The music
Yeah.
selection as well is awful for the show. I don't know if you feel that as well. Like I'm listening to these songs, and I'm like, these songs don't belong here at all. Like you're listening to a fight sequence and it's like an 80s rock song. It just doesn't fit at all. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, who's in charge of the music in this show because they need to be fired. It is just dreadful. Um, I like just to get to the end of the episode as well because I don't want to run this episode too long because we're only really
Yeah.
breaking down three episodes. But the whole thing
So
with
the whole episode, they just kind of
yeah
because we're about to get to the end. The Red Hood steals. You find out that the Red Hood is using they do this whole, which I have to mention this. The way they've done Crane in this show as a stoner is hilarious, dude.
he's one of the best characters in it as well. Like I love that whole like playing off each other, like they do the way the Dick has to go and like bribe him with the weed and get the information
Yeah.
off him. It's very Hannibal Lecter, like
Yes, exactly.
it's a
Yes,
cool
that's the relationship it reminds me
yeah
of now.
yeah it's very
But yeah,
Hannibal.
so he learns from Crane that whoever this Red Hood character is probably, which they've learned is Jason at this point, is going to use the tools of his father
Yeah,
against him.
yeah.
So then they're like, tools of his father, who's that? They find out that Jason's using Batman tech,
Wayne Tech, yeah.
Wayne Tech, Wayne Enterprise Tech, where it's this device that has been implanted on Hank's heart, and it's got barbs in it that if you try to remove it, it's gonna explode, and it's got a timer on it that counts down. The whole episode is like a countdown episode, and instead of seconds, it's amount of beats of heart that Hank has left. So they're trying to keep him calm. They're giving him drugs to lower his heart rate, and they're doing everything in their power to keep his beats of his heart rate down as slow as possible. And everyone has their watches synced up to it. They're all watching this countdown slowly, and you kind of have two branches going here. You have Dick trying to do this the right way and the way that's smart and that makes sense, and then you have Dove doing this the emotional way where she has the Red Hood tell her, "Hey, go." He wanted 100 million bars. He wanted all this gold. He wanted a robbery to happen. He wanted the heroes to act like terrorists, pretty much. And she gets her emotions involved. Long story short, she does the heist. At the end of the episode, it comes to she's trying to do it the bad way, and Dick's trying to do it the good way, and they have this cross in the road. You find out that it was a plot the whole time. The gun that she has in her hand that's supposed to kill him. She's like, if you want him to live, you need to kill me. She gives a decision. You want him to live, you need to kill me with that gun. Shoot me in the face, is what Jason says. He takes off his helmet. She pulls the trigger. Turns out that the trigger on the gun was the detonator for the thing. The
Yeah,
Superboy had just figured out the combination to save him. He got it down after the whole episode to 0% failure rate.
yeah,
So he's sprinting as fast as he can, Superboy speed, as she pulls the trigger.
yeah. It was
Boom.
literally dead, photo finish.
You have
He has
Superboy
like
literally
10 beats,
entering the
10
room
beats.
as the explosion.
He had like 10 beats left on the clock, and if she didn't actually pull the trigger, he would have lived. So now, obviously,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to live for the rest of the season. We're gonna have Dove in just complete disarray for the entire
Turmoil.
thing. Yeah, so that could actually be proved to be interesting. Like, I always sound like an evil bastard when I say this, but I love seeing like disasters.
Vengeance.
Yeah, I just love seeing disasters and stories like this. Like, it's like because it just drives for much better entertainment. As
It
terrible as it
shakes things
sounds,
up. It
exactly.
shakes
So
things up. Yeah.
now for the rest of the season, Dove is going to be out to kill Jason, no holds barred, and it's going to provide some great content. And half the team, like I wouldn't be surprised if this drops like a split down
A
the middle
big
of the
divide.
Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah, half them are going to want to kill him because half them love Hank. I loved Hank. I'm sad that he's gone. I can't believe they killed the character so soon at the start of the season. I'm very shocked by it.
Yeah.
Um,
It seemed like he was getting kind of a redemption arc,
yeah,
and
yeah, for sure. You just start to kind of
boom.
really get attached to him in this season, and then literally, boom, he's gone. So yeah, like I'm just kind of predictions for me. Like I just think yeah, it's gonna put a divide in the team. Half of them are gonna want to kill him. Uh, Dick is probably gonna find out something along the lines of that his mind has been altered by like a Lazarus pit or something like that, or he's under a
What this
spell,
drug
or
is that they're talking about?
yeah, the drug. My guess for that when I first saw, like at the very beginning of the episode, the second I saw him take that, I presumed it was like a anti-Joker toxin or something like that he was developing so that he wouldn't get the Joker toxin, which made sense. Like I thought that's what it was, and maybe that is what it is. But Dick seems to think that it's like some sort of drug that he was on that's altering his mind. I don't think that's the case. I actually think it's like anti-Joker toxin so that he wouldn't get there's the Joker
Yeah.
sickness fighting the Joker, obviously without Batman. So, yeah, I don't know. I suppose wait and see. Do you want to bring
Yeah.
up the Do you want to bring up the trailer real quick? We'll check it out just before
Oh,
we go, because
sure
I
do.
gotta get out of here in a minute. Let's check this out.
The kid always had issues, but he was not a full-blown psychopath.
I don't know what's happening to me. Something's wrong with me.
I want out of this place. Gotham doesn't understand justice. It only understands terror.
This is gonna be a bloodbath.
Jason's gone. He's Red Hood now. It's time we all accept what he is.
Donna was a hero. She's never coming back.
I think I'm losing my mind.
I'm ready when you are.
Didn't my sister tell you I'm dangerous?
Oh wow.
I am who I am because of you.
The battle for Gotham ends tonight. You ain't seen nothing yet.
It always had to. The first two seasons of Titan, upcoming Titans episode 2 also.
Sorry, I just realized, dude, that you couldn't see that because I didn't do a file share.
No, that's fine. I was trying to find one. I didn't, but
I'll send it to
yeah.
you. Don't worry about it. But yeah, basically, we get a first glimpse at Rachel. She's kind of on a beach
Okay.
in a kind of white suit. Kind of looks like a Star Trek suit or something. It's kind of crazy. She's got some sort of symbol on her chest, so like she must have. It looks like she's joined a cult or something. It seems kind of crazy. They seem to be kind of like Dick says that he has everyone needs to come to the terms with the fact that Jason is now Red Hood and that they need to get over it. So again, I think very kind of what I was saying. I think there's going to be a bit of a split down the team. I think Dick is going to try and just either move on or try and save him, and the rest of the team are going to be like kind of taking the route that Hank took.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean,
this guy
Gar's
needs to
gonna
get
want
taken.
to. Yeah, Gar's never gonna give up on anybody, so Gar's gonna want to save him.
Yeah, Gar's a good guy.
Well, I don't know, Gar. See, but when you have somebody kill like another friend like that, it's like it's hard to make these predictions because it's
Can
like,
turn anybody. Yeah.
yeah,
True, true.
Gar spent a lot of time with Hank there at the start of the season.
True, very true. So yeah, I suppose. Look, we got to watch these episodes on Friday. I don't know how many episodes are being released this week. I think it's only one. I might be wrong on that though. It might be more than one. But yeah, we'll catch up in the next video, guys. If you like the content, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, like the video, and let us know in the comments what you think.
Share with your friends.
Let's continue this conversation in the comments.
All right,
Kyle.
we'll be talking Titans next week.
Good
See you
to
later,
dude.
Finto.
Later, dude. Bye.
Bye bye.